Am I the a-hole for refusing to go to the same college as my stepsister? I'm 17, female, a senior in high school, and making my college decision soon. I got into some really great schools for my major, and I'm really excited for college. My parents divorced when I was 7, and I was living with my mom until she died when I was 14. I have only been living with my dad and his wife for the past 3 years. My dad remarried Lisa when I was 9, and she has a daughter, Jan, my age. My mom's family has been saving for me to go to college. My maternal grandparents have a 529 for me that they and my mom had been contributing to since I was a baby. It has about 110,000 right now. Jan has really bad social anxiety and clung to me when I started living with my dad. I guess because Jan didn't really have many friends before I came along, Lisa has taken to pushing me to spend a lot of my time with her. This has only worsened during the pandemic, plus the fact that I don't really see her as a sister or friend, more like a housemate. We didn't interact much when I was living with my mom because my dad would always take me out when I visited him. College decisions and financial aid have all come in, and I got into my first choice school with enough aid that I can graduate debt-free with my mom's family support. I absolutely love this school and its culture. I really clicked with it when I visited. Jan, however, only feels comfortable going to the state school, which is great for her major that I also got into. Since finding out that I also got into state, Jan and Lisa have started talking about the future as if we're going to go to school together and live together at school. When I told them that I got into and planned on going to my first choice, they exploded. Lisa said I was abandoning Jan, and Jan has started crying a lot about not knowing anyone in college. Lisa said that if I didn't go to state with Jan, she and my dad would cut off financial support for college. I told her that my grandparents are paying. I got angry and said that if she cuts me off, I can write a kick-ass essay about her cutting me off for more outside scholarships. Last weekend, I went over to my grandparents' house, told them about getting into FC, accepted the admission, and we ate ice cream. I went home and told my dad's family over dinner, and now Lisa's become extremely passive-aggressive about me not supporting family, and Jan just cries and pleads me to change my mind. My dad says that I should take back my commitment and lose $750 and commit to state to keep the peace at home. I might be the a-hole because I know Jan will have a hard time adjusting to college without any familiarity, and that me being there would help her, but I flat out refused without really talking to them about it. I also don't want to be around Jan forever. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You are not Jan's parent. She is not your responsibility. You are responsible for your own future, and you have done a great job at getting yourself on the right track. Your stepmother was awful to try and make you responsible for her daughter, and to try to, mistakenly, hold money and your education over your head to try and make you bend to her will. I wish I could have seen her face when you told her that she had no power there. Your father has failed you as a parent. He should not be making you forfeit your future and freedom to keep the peace. He should be standing up to his wife for the benefit of his daughter. Also, it is laughable to me that none of these people apparently had any idea of how your college finances were actually going to work. I'm glad your grandparents and mother, I'm so sorry for your loss, at least were looking out for you. Get out of that house as soon as you can and never look back. Good luck in college. Lisa and Dad didn't know about the money because all the financial aid apps only ask for parent assets, so they thought they would be financing college for me. Lisa's face turned a little purple when she found out she wouldn't be. Excellent. But hey, bright side, they can spend the money they would have spent on you to hire a therapist for Jan. Because I honestly feel sorry for her, and they are not doing her any favors with their current behavior. There is an extremely unhealthy codependency issue going on here, and her parents enabling it is not going to do Jan any favors. What do they expect? For Peter's stepsister to just never be apart again for their whole lives? Jan needs to learn how to cope. And I get that anxiety sucks, but she can't just rely on Opie forever. Not an a-hole. It's your future, and it's a choice you appear to have both the financial support for and the actual support from your grandparents. When you turn 18, you are an adult and responsible for yourself. My suggestion would be to talk with your grandparents about the possibility of you living with them on school breaks. Also, whether in your later years at college, they'd help you get your own apartment rather than living in the dorms. Also, your stepmom has done an enormous disservice to Jan here by allowing her to use you as an emotional crutch. It's dysfunctional that they're pushing you to attend college with Jan because of her anxiety and issues. If they're that bad, she should have been working with a therapist and possibly on anxiety meds already. Edit. Wow. I honestly didn't expect this to blow up so much. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to reply to many people, but I'm definitely reading through all the comments. Thank you so much for your support. I've been talking to my school and grandparents this week and will hopefully figure something out. So far, I've been able to mostly avoid Dad, Lisa, and Jan by staying in my room. I will definitely be sitting down and talking with them this weekend after I gather my thoughts, and I'm able to go into the conversation with a clear agenda. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad his mistake isn't my problem to fix? I, 20 female, live about 2 hours from my dad. My dad and mom divorced when I was 9. We were married when I was 14, and by then, I mostly lived with my mom. My younger brother, 16 male, and sister, 17 female, lived mostly there too. Then our mom died a year and a half ago, and they moved to our dad's. Our dad is younger stepkids, ages 7 to 11, and I never really had much of a relationship with them. When I see my dad, I am kind. I treat them the same as my siblings. But to me, it isn't really the same, and I do make much more of an effort with my siblings, which makes sense to me. I usually see them once or twice a month, and we go watch a movie or go shopping and generally hang out. They've been to my apartment a few times too. So my dad ended up mentioning them sleeping at my place next month in front of his stepkids, and according to my siblings, the younger kids got upset and asked why they didn't get to go, and his wife was pissed that not only did he bring it up in front of her kids, but she didn't know they actually stayed over at my place sometimes. Now he's getting flack because I don't make the same effort across all the kids. And he wanted me to fix it by including all the kids this time around and making the same effort going forward. I told him it wasn't my problem to fix, and I would keep being kind and inclusive when I see them, but I'm more comfortable with my siblings. I have a relationship with them, which isn't really there with the stepkids. I never lived with them and never had a sibling dynamic with them. He got mad and told me I could help him make up for his mistake and make everyone happier by including them. My sister jumped in and said it wouldn't make them happier. They are usually glad of the break from the younger kids, especially after being cooped up with them for months during lockdown. He brought up how helping family should be important. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It's your apartment. Your dad doesn't get to decide who you host there. Plus, at your step-siblings' ages, you'd be babysitting more than anything. Is he going to pay for that? Exactly. Not the a-hole. You don't have to have all the kids over. That's a lot of stress, and it makes sense to only include your siblings because they're older and can look after themselves. Also, these kids are basically strangers to you. Not the a-hole. Sometimes in a blended family, siblings just aren't as close as parents want them to be. My stepbrother didn't even come to my wedding, but my stepmom holds this desperate idea that we are one big happy family when we just aren't. There's nothing wrong with not being close to step-siblings, and it's not your job to make your dad's mistake all better. You're not mean to the other kids, but you were never raised with them. If your dad hadn't married their mom, you would never have known them or been friends with them. They really aren't that much your family either. So why spend the time and money for a relationship you aren't interested in cultivating? Sometimes in a traditional family this happens too. I don't understand why people, most often parents, think they have the right to dictate the terms of someone else's relationships. They can mandate a level of behavior, that is, prevent disrespectful/bullying behavior, but that's it. Not the a-hole. I'm a stepmom, and I wouldn't dream of pressuring my oldest stepkid to look after his younger siblings, especially for a sleepover, if he didn't feel comfortable, because he's not their parent, and it's not his responsibility to do this if he doesn't want to. Ages 7 to 11 plus 2 teens is a lot of work even for bio parents. Why on earth would your dad and stepmom ask you to take them all for a sleepover? That's 4 to 5 kids for a 20-year-old to look after. For a whole weekend? Not cool to ask this of you at all. Sounds like your dad and stepmom want a weekend off from all kids and are shoving this onto you. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to give up our baby moon location for my sister? My wife is due in about a month, and we've been wanting to have a little getaway together. Work has been chaotic for us both, so we never got the chance to have time off until now. I've requested 4 days off next week, and we'll be going to our nice little beach house. We've really been looking forward to having this alone time together and get away from everything before our son gets here. It's close to the small town with a nice day spa and other places to check out, so we're pretty excited. A few days ago, my sister married her husband. No wedding, just a courthouse type thing online or something like that. Anyways, they really want to go on their honeymoon, and conveniently, they want to use our beach house next week because her husband is going on a work trip, won't be back until middle of May, I believe. I told her they can go before us, but they'll have to be gone by Thursday because that's when we arrive. Their issue is work, and they only have next weekend free. I had to tell her no then, because we want to use all 4 days. I have already requested these days off from work and can't just change it last minute. But they really want to have their honeymoon before her husband has to leave, so she's mad now that we don't want to give up our place when we can go on vacation any other time. And yes, she's right. But since I can't miss work, aside from the days I asked to have off, the next time we get to take a mini vacation will probably be after our son is born. The whole point is we'd like our last alone time now. Sister has been extremely angry at us over this since they want to have a nice honeymoon before he leaves. Are we being a-holes? Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. Is your beach house the only one in a 100-mile radius? Tell them to rent one themselves. To piggyback on this, are they mad because they want a free vacation? I mean, surely there are other places to go close by. Your sister doesn't really have a leg to stand on here. You planned a vacation at your beach house for you. She had an unplanned wedding and wants a free honeymoon at your house. That's not how vacations work. You don't get to kick the owners out at your whim. I hope her husband fully understands this entitlement and isn't feeding it. Stand your ground. Enjoy your baby moon. It's the best thing you can do at this stage. Not a-hole. Yep, she wants the free vacation. OP, if you are feeling generous and your sister and her husband can't afford to go anywhere and that is the issue, I suppose you can ask if you don't know, you could offer to contribute some amount towards a weekend away as a wedding gift, so that they can afford to rent somewhere. Or if you are generous and passive-aggressive instead of asking, you could just say, I'm sorry, the beach house is in use on these dates. It's too short notice for me to reschedule my time off work. In the future, if you are hoping to use our beach house, please ask in advance to make sure you aren't disappointed. Since you and your husband just got married, wife and I discussed and decided to gift you X dollars as a wedding gift in hopes this helps you afford the weekend away you were planning. Not a-hole. Your plans for your beach house predate her demands for your beach house. And she has a hell of a lot more flexibility than a couple with an impending newborn. Her entitlement and a-hole rate is astounding. Tell her it is your property, so for her it is May, which is only a month's wait. I mean, come on. Or never. And if she keeps pushing, it will be never. Not a-hole. Hope you have a good baby moon and good luck with the birth. Agreed. And delaying the honeymoon only a month or 2 is nothing. Plenty of couples do that voluntarily because that's just how timing and or budget worked out. Heck, there are couples who got married last year who are just now planning honeymoons as vaccinations happen and travel opens up. The sister can find another hotel, or she can simply wait until her husband returns and can take a little time off. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for visiting my aunt against my mother's orders as it upsets my stepsister? I, 16 female, don't know how to summarize it, but I'll try. My parents divorced about 5 years ago. My father remarried a year after divorce and I now have a 1-year-old half-sister. My mother remarried a little before COVID, and I have a stepsister Jazz, 11 female, whose mother passed away when she was 8. I get along with my father's side, with stepmother and baby sister, but cannot get along with my new stepfather and stepsister. With me so far? I hope. The reason I don't get along with Jazz is because she likes to act up, and I cannot deal with her when she does. The adults aren't helping either. I have to think before speaking to her, else she may spin up some wild tales to complain and cry buckets of tears. She's very sensitive, and I have learned to avoid her as much as possible. My mother always told me to be understanding because she has a traumatic past, and that she's still getting used to our new family, getting counseled and such. I had to hold back my anger when she destroys my things, being a witch to me and my mother, and her father would just pretend he is not there whenever she loses her temper. Lucky for me, during my stay with my mother, I still have my aunt who stays nearby, and I would visit her whenever I have the time and occasionally stay over for the weekends. She would bring me out for shopping and buy me things in the past, and is a very cool person in general. She is busier now, but still always have time for me, and even gave me her spare key so that I can go to her place even when she's not home. My mother had an argument with my aunt a week ago, and she now forbids me going to her because it upsets Jazz. That witch went crying to her father, and my mother's saying she feels unfair that I have an aunt who spoils me while she has nobody to turn to. My mother got the nerve to ask my aunt to buy things for Jazz too, and she refused, and that was why they quarreled, and then I was forbidden to visit her anymore. So I went visiting my aunt anyway, even after being told not to, and then my mother got very angry at me, saying that I'm being a selfish brat with no consideration for my sister, while Jazz giggled behind her. I told her, out loud with Jazz listening, that I only have one sister and that is my baby sister on my father's side. I don't give a crap what Jazz feels, and I will still be going to my aunt. And there is nothing stopping me from doing so. What can she do? Lock me up? Is it even legal? Confiscate my phone? My dad bought it. Kick me out? I wish. So I am at my aunt's house again, with my mother texting me how I upset Jess as she had a meltdown again. My aunt said she doesn't mind me staying over, but I should make it up with them later as it is not good for long term. She showed me her phone too, and I could see that my mother and other aunt, youngest, is blaming her for what I did, and I feel sorry for her, but not for that little turd Jazz. So am I the a-hole for openly defying my mother on this? Edit. My aunt is my mother's younger sister. She lives alone, and I sometimes stay over for a bit whenever I fight with Jazz, or with my mother/stepfather over Jazz. I'm not sure if I can live with her for long because it was never brought up, but she gave me her spare keys and said I can go to her place whenever I want. Jazz is currently under counseling, or therapy, some of you call it. I'm not sure if she is making progress, but she hasn't changed much. I would love to live with my father, but he is currently living with my stepmother's parents because one of them is sick, and I don't really want to disturb them right now. At the very least, at my mother's side, I can get to look for my aunt. Not an a-hole. Your aunt is right that you've got to find a long-term solution. That solution should take realities into account. Your stepsister shouldn't get all the priority. And just because your stepsister doesn't have a cool aunt doesn't mean that you should stop seeing yours. OP this. Have a talk with your blended family. Don't swear. Use phrases like, I'm not willing to set clear boundaries. And if that doesn't work, start throwing temper tantrums every time. Jazz attempts to. Be faster than her. And louder. Make sure everyone knows how messed up the situation is. Not a hole. And I would personally advise you keep calling Jazz out, in front of her, and in front of your mother and stepfather. Your silence further enables it to continue. It is within your power to say something. So say it, and say it loud. Don't let them misdirect this towards your aunt. Be very clear. The issue here is a spoiled 11-year-old, who you are allowing to negatively impact my life. It is not my aunt. If you want to have me as a daughter in a few years' time, then maybe you need to act like you are my mother and care about my happiness. Be clear, direct, specific, and most importantly, refuse to apologize for what you said. I meant every word. Maybe you should think about why I feel that way. Keep it up. Good luck. Not a hole. Try this with your mother. Jazz losing a female figure in her life doesn't mean you need to make me lose one to keep it fair. I have sympathy for all Jazz has gone through, but expecting me to experience the feelings of loss, neglect, and unsafety to make up for her trauma is simply not sustainable. Her using you to hurt me just results in both of us being hurt.
Am I the a-hole for disowning my adult daughter after she called the police with false allegations? My adult daughter has a history of depression and had a troubled life that included drug use when she lived with her mom. Her mom was a brief fling of mine and later became an addict and alcoholic. It got so bad that the court sent my daughter to live with me and my other children. Her trauma and upbringing severely impaired her ability to bond with us. She was deceitful, used drugs, ran away twice, and ended up in mental hospitals. None of us have ever used. I drink socially. I was strict but fair, joined her in therapy sessions, even signed up for my own therapy to improve my parenting. I fully supported her in sports, was emotionally there when she was down, sad, or upset, taught her honesty and integrity, and helped her get sober. Once she reached adulthood, I thought she was on a better path. Good grades, a college plan, a part-time job, etc. Then she met a boy who also came from an addict mom. She erratically moved out with 2 trash bags worth of clothes. I saw this from my street and tried convincing her to stay. She dialed 911 and falsely accused me of hitting her to get a quick police response. When 8 officers arrived, they investigated, saw no signs of violence, and her account cleared me. Thankfully, she told the truth. A neighbor's Ring camera also caught the incident, which would have cleared me regardless. I have never hit her in my life. She left, immediately went to an underage boy's house, stayed for a month, and then his dad asked her to move out. She was homeless for a while, and I recently heard she's now in a shared apartment, still working the same 15-hour-a-week minimum wage job. She's depleted her savings on essentials and their drug habits. According to her, this boy is autistic and slow and has emotional issues. According to her friends, he's a drug addict, unemployed, controlling, still a minor, and rumored to have an untreated STD. His ex-girlfriend told several people, including my daughter, as a courtesy. She's in denial, but without screening or treatment, that may come back to haunt her. My daughter is now an addict too, going from weed and alcohol to harder substances such as ecstasy and Schedule I stimulants or opioids. Most of her friends have distanced themselves from her, but what little I do know comes from what she's shared or what others have seen. My other children disowned her immediately and want nothing to do with her. My other daughter said she never really fit in with us, always made bad choices, and concluded she doesn't have a sister. My son was closer to her, knew the troubled boy she left with before she did, and warned her to stay away. My parents were about to gift her $5,000 in cash for college, but since she left and went no contact, they changed their minds. I was about to buy her a new car. Now that too has changed. I finally followed the rest of my family's lead and concluded I have one less daughter. She's disinherited. Her portion of my estate will be divided among my other children. Am I wrong for circling the wagons to protect my healthy kids? She falsely accused my son of assault once. Video surveillance cleared him, but without that video, I might have believed her. Based on what she's already done, it's just too risky to welcome an addict with mental illness back into our home. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The situation absolutely sucks all the way around. You owe it to your other children to protect them. Hopefully your daughter will find her way back onto a better path at some point. Thank you. Yes, it didn't have to end this way. Every morning, a hug, a how'd you sleep. I love you. What do you have planned for today? Lunch and dinner always made. Breakfast she had to make herself. She could confide in me about anything, no matter how hard it was to hear. Sadly, her mom blazed a path for her, and she's now going down the same road. Not the a-hole. You have to protect yourself. She tried to ruin your life on a whim. Never allow her into your life or be alone with her again. That's exactly what my ex-wife told me. She said if I ever do allow her back, she'll burn me for her next high. It sucks, but even if you put your whole home and family on the line to help her now, all it will do is postpone her from hitting her rock bottom. I don't think it would be wise to even give her a ride somewhere. You can't be alone with her, and you can't give her anything of value because she'll just sell it. The best you can do is offer information for rehab and sober living, because that would be her best next step. She will likely not be interested in that until she runs out of other options. I'd talk with your wife, decide what you'd be willing to provide, and just let your daughter know what that is and to call you when she's ready. If she's still on your medical insurance, find out what she could get from there, exactly when it will expire, and let her know that too. Thank you. Yes, she is still insured until next year. It's good coverage, no copays, but still. She stopped taking her psych meds. Her psychiatrist called me. Stopped therapy a week after leaving and is unraveling. I sent her an email via her therapist the day after she left, with all the info she needs. Phone numbers, plan info, resources, and I left her insurance card and important records in a box at her work. I cannot be alone with her given what happened last time. I warned my son not to seek her out either. He fully understood and immediately disowned her when I told him about her erratic behavior the day she left. Next story. Am I the a-hole for attending my ex's wedding with our kids he abandoned? My ex-husband, 36 male, and I, 34 female, divorced 6 years ago. It was messy. We were young, impulsive, and he was chasing a lifestyle I couldn't keep up with. Partying, status, image. When I got pregnant, he panicked, said he wasn't ready to be a dad, and walked away. I never took him to court. I just raised our twins, 6 male and 6 female alone. He never met them, never asked. I moved cities, built a quiet life, and let go of the anger for the most part. A few months ago, I got a wedding invitation from him. It was handwritten, would love for you to come, no hard feelings. Hope you're doing well. I was stunned. We hadn't spoken in years. I found out later he'd told people we split because I couldn't handle his ambition, that I was clingy and dramatic. No mention of the kids. I wasn't planning to go, but something in me snapped. Maybe it was petty. Maybe it was protective. I RSVP'd yes and brought our children with me. I didn't make a scene. I dressed them nicely. We sat quietly in the back, but when he saw us, his face drained. His fiancée looked confused. His mother, who had begged me years ago to keep the kids quiet, looked like she'd seen a ghost. After the ceremony, he pulled me aside and asked why I came. I said, "You invited me. I thought you wanted to show off, so I brought the most beautiful thing you ever made." He didn't speak, just stared at the twins, who were holding hands and looking around like it was a fairy tale. Now mutual friends are saying I ruined his wedding, that I was vindictive, and that I should have let him have his day. Was I the a-hole for showing up with the truth he's been running from? Not the a-hole. He invited you. You brought reality. If that ruined his day, that's on him. You didn't ruin his wedding. You reminded him of the life he chose to abandon. Showed everyone else too. Wonder how the bride reacted to knowing that he had 2 kids he never told her about, and that he had abandoned. She just met the reality of the guy she just married. He got what he asked you for. His shame is his own. You're honestly legendary in my opinion, because you still protected you and your kids' peace. Not the a-hole. Right? He invited her into his fantasy. She just brought reality. Sounds like a much-needed wake-up call. Not the a-hole all the way. He wanted OP to see what she lost out on. Well, the tables turned, and he, his wife, family, and friends saw exactly what he walked out on like a coward. 2 beautiful children. Now his new bride is stuck with a deadbeat who has never contributed a thing to his children's lives. Good luck to her. It will be interesting to see if she tries to make him do the right thing, like 6 years of child support. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to adopt my stepdaughter? I'm 30 female. My husband is 34 male, and my stepdaughter is 12. Her mom passed away when she was 2, and I came into her life when she was 8. We have what I'd consider a normal step-parent relationship. She doesn't call me mom, and that's fine. I want her to be comfortable. A few weeks ago, she started asking if I would adopt her. Apparently, she had already talked to my husband, and he told her it would be a good idea to ask me. I told her I'd think about it. Later, I asked my husband why he thought it was a good idea, and he said it would make her feel like part of the family and prevent her from feeling different from the baby we're expecting. I told him that, if that's the concern, she should talk to her therapist about it before the baby arrives. He then asked why I didn't want to adopt her. I explained that she and I aren't on that level yet. She doesn't see me as her mom, more like a bonus adult she can come to if needed. I'm fine with that, but adoption would legally make me her mother. And if she doesn't feel that way toward me, I'm not sure it's the right time. When I told her I wasn't ready to adopt her right now, she cried and asked why. I told her that if we grew closer in the future, I'd consider it. But I think she needs to fully understand what adoption means first. She told her maternal grandmother, who said it was disrespectful of my husband to even suggest it. His side of the family thinks I should just do it to make her feel included. The main reason I'm hesitant is that I don't think she's asking for the right reasons. I believe she's asking because she doesn't want to feel left out, not because she truly wants me to be her mom. She already has other strong mother figures, her grandmother and aunt, who have done a lot of motherly things for her. When I say she doesn't treat me like a mom, I mean for certain mother-daughter experiences, she goes to them instead. For example, if she were old enough to go wedding dress shopping, I know she'd choose her aunt and grandma. There's nothing wrong with that. She's not my biological daughter, but if she were, I'd expect her to come to me for those moments. Some people have told me feeling left out is a valid reason for adoption, but I disagree. For example, last year she felt left out because we spent Christmas with my family while she was with her mom's side. We solved it by alternating holidays, and she was happy. Adoption wouldn't have fixed that. It would have been a band-aid over the real issue. I'd rather address why she feels excluded than adopt her only for her to still feel that way. I also assume that if I adopted her, she might start calling me mom, but it would be okay if she didn't. And to be clear, I didn't say never. I said not right now. Maybe when she's older, around 15 to 20, and our relationship is stronger, I'll be ready. We're already planning more family therapy sessions, and she's in individual therapy as well. So that's where things stand. I love her, but I think this is something to revisit when she's older and understands it fully. For now, I'm focusing on strengthening our bond without rushing into a legal decision she might not be ready for either. Now for the top comments. Agree with grandmother. This should have been discussed with all adults before she was told to go and ask you. And since OP can't control what her husband does or change the crappy way he handled it, she should have had a talk with his stepdaughter about why she wants this and what she is hoping for in the situation. It looks like OP did a lot of assuming without actually speaking to the stepdaughter, which is always a recipe for disaster. It's possible the stepdaughter genuinely wants to have a mother-daughter relationship with his stepmom, but is worried about rejection or that the stepmom doesn't view her that way. This fear would be amplified by the new baby on the way, a real child for the stepmom. A fear OP accidentally just confirmed, whether intentional or not. And how did the discussion between the husband and stepdaughter come about? Did the husband recommend it out of the blue, or was the stepdaughter talking to him about something? Everyone sucks here, between OP and her husband. I think she's asking because she doesn't want to feel left out. Wanting to be on equal standing in your family is an incredibly valid reason. She's 12. She looks up to you. Think very carefully about what happens next. This over and over. I am confused by all adults in this story. How do these people have children? And it sounds like the OP is pregnant? Of course, the 12-year-old is feeling very insecure. The OP is saying she doesn't feel like the kid's mom and is a bonus adult. But when the kid asks her to be the mom, she keeps that distance in play. That was the perfect moment to pivot and be the kid's mom. This kid is going to remember this as a rejection for the rest of her life. The way OP is acting like it's a 12-year-old girl's job to take care of her feelings, make her feel special in some particular type of way, is emotional abuse. That is not a child's job. What the child needs is consistent, capable adults who commit to being in their life regardless. Making the adoption conditional on some nebulous vibe or emotional need OP expects a child to fill for her is the kind of thing this poor girl will be dealing with for her whole life after this. If you want her to treat you like a mom, you have to act like one. OP lacks the emotional maturity to do so, and you can already see how she'll rank her next to a new biological child. So heartbreaking and infuriating. Not to mention, adoption would take care of any issues if dad dies or becomes incapacitated. It's not just to make the child feel good for Pete's sake. Last story. Am I the a-hole for storming out of my dad's wedding because he mentioned my brother and sister and his stepdaughters but not me? I, 16 male, am adopted. My siblings are my parents' biological kids. They're 13 and 11. 7 years ago, my parents divorced. It was never explained why, but I always noticed that Dad was bitter toward Mom, while Mom hid how she felt really well. I did hear a fight between them once, where she called him a POS who didn't deserve his kids. At the time it didn't make sense, but it makes more sense now. My dad got remarried a month ago. His wife has 2 daughters, 5 and 6, with her first husband who died. When everyone was eating, Dad got up and started to make this long speech about how happy he was with his wife and how blessed they were with their family. He called her an amazing mom and woman and all that fluffy stuff. Then he thanked her daughters for being amazing and told them he couldn't wait to be their dad for real and how much he already loved them. Then he thanked his kids but only named my brother and sister. He didn't say a single thing about me. He gushed about my siblings, about his wife's girls. Then he told everyone how the family, and named everyone except me, was starting fresh from that day forward. How they were lucky to have such great kids. His speech wasn't over before I stormed out of the wedding. I called Mom and told her I needed her to come pick me up and not ask questions because I just needed her. My brother followed me out, and so did some of Dad's family. My brother asked me if I was okay. The rest of the family asked why I made a scene, and when I pointed out the speech, they said it was an oversight, and I was included every time he said kids. And so what if he left out my name? It wasn't the end of the world. I told them it was only my name. My brother tried to say something to Dad's family, but they told him to go back inside and celebrate, and not to make more of a scene at the wedding. They tried to make me go back in too, but I told them I was going home with Mom. When I told Mom what happened, I got so upset. She did her best to calm me down and distract me. It was a few days later when she talked to me about what happened more. I told her missing my name once in that speech was maybe understandable, but he wrote a long-ass book and still didn't mention my name. I told her he couldn't have made it clearer that I'm not his real kid. She told me she was so sorry. I mentioned what I heard before, and she told me the biggest reason they divorced is he wanted to give me up because they had their own kids. But he fought for me in the divorce with my siblings, so she hoped he'd grow eventually. I said he probably just didn't want to pay child support. I've heard nothing from Dad since. His family has tried to yell at me for making a scene at the wedding, but Mom shut them down. My siblings still go to his house, but he doesn't ask about me or seem to care that I don't go with them. And even with that, his family still wants to say I'm the a-hole, which pisses me off but makes me doubt myself. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Dude doesn't care about you. He never saw you as his son. Just don't have any relationship with him. Nothing more really. That freaking hurts too. I used to see people talk about being adopted, and they were regretted once their adoptive parents had their own kids, and I never thought it would be me. But it was, and I had no idea for so many years. It sounds like you were always your mom's child, even after she had her bio kids. Not the a-hole. He made it clear that you're not his kid, so act as such. It hits and it sucks. And I know the feelings that come with being adopted as I am too. It sucks so freaking much. I'm glad that Mom loves me the same and would fight for me. Yes, I'm glad she loves you. Hold on to the relationship with your mom.